Welcome to the third part of the Introduction to Outcome Harvesting module. In this third part, we will go into the details of the remaining steps of outcome harvesting: conducting substantiation, analyzing and interpreting, and making use of and learning from findings. Selected outcome descriptions should be validated or substantiated by identified substantiators in order to verify the accuracy and credibility of the final outcomes and findings. In joint consultation, around 20% of the outcomes can be selected for substantiation. There are multiple purposes to substantiation. It encourages strategic learning within the program or project team. It enhances the credibility or appreciation of the findings for external audience. It elicits different perspectives of various stakeholders to understand the influence of context on the change processes. Who can be a substantiator? The ideal substantiator is a key informant or informants who is knowledgeable of one or more outcomes and the change agent's contribution, but who is, at the same time, independent from the program and organizations involved in its implementation. They are thus a third party. You should identify at least 3 potential substantiators to provide feedback per outcome description. Each of them would provide different perspectives about the outcome description. We want their technical judgments and clear feedback on the outcome description, the program contribution, its significance. Some examples of substantiators are experts from academic institutions, strategic allies, partner organizations who are not driving the process but are still very invested in the program. This is, for example, the case when a truly independent third party is difficult to identify. Community members, teachers, healthcare workers, students or youths, and parents. Government officials or community representatives, such as traditional leaders if they were not involved in the implementation or intervention. This template is a sample table that you can use to choose and organize substantiators and make a division per outcome. It can also be used to save contact information or put in any extra comments. There are various ways to organize substantiation. There are different outreach methods and communication tools to contact potential substantiators, including email, phone calls or internet calls, video calls or virtual conference calls, face-to-face individual meetings, interviews, panel sessions. This slide shows a sample of the substantiation feedback form. This is for the chosen substantiator to fill out. It allows them to express their opinion and expertise on the outcome description they were asked to evaluate, the program's contribution, and the significance of the outcome. In this format, column A talks about feedback on the outcome description. Column B includes feedback on contribution, and column C includes the feedback on significance. In each of these columns, the substantiator first reflects on the degree of accuracy of the outcome and then elaborates on their feedback. This feedback is valuable to the overall design of the harvest and allows us to learn and adapt. However, since you are dealing with multiple substantiators, it is of course possible and natural that disagreements occur between them. Disagreements, in fact, reflect on the complexity of the program and diversity of perspectives. An observed change can impact different actors in different ways. That is fine. It might be good to plan with potential risks and how it affects program implementation. There are various ways to handle these disagreements. In the case when most responses by substantiators are positive, but some have provided useful additional comments, you can revise the outcome information description. This way, you incorporate any comments provided and may expand on the description. In the case when substantiators agree that the outcome is significant, but do not fully agree on it, you can drop the outcome from the substantiation process. You still keep it in the outcome map. Still, it is required that you mention that while substantiation for this outcome description was sought, full agreement was not reached, and explain why. Seek information from the substantiator why they do not agree fully. Sometimes you may have to drop the outcome description from the outcome map completely. This can, for example, be the case when substantiators disagree on any part of the outcome description. If the team agrees with this decision, this adjustment may be left out of public reporting. Or alternatively, you can seek more information from the substantiator. If different perspectives or disagreements are not exactly clear, you can follow up with the substantiators to clarify. If this does not work, you can conduct another round of substantiation. In order to have new, workable results, you could use a different outreach method or use additional substantiators. After harvesting the outcomes, we need to analyze, interpret, and make sense of them. In this phase, the partners jointly reflect on the finalized and substantiated outcome descriptions. They come together to analyze and interpret the data. Subsequently, partners make use of the findings for reporting and future programming. Outcomes can be classified according to the key guiding principles, or the goals, outcome areas, and objectives of the different stakeholders. Final outcome descriptions will be compared with the original outcomes from the program's theory of change. The meaning in terms of progress of the program is discussed, and a value will be agreed upon as well. This step is usually done by organizing outcome harvesting sessions. These usually take place twice a year and inform both the annual report and the annual planning. These methods reinforce the participatory aspect of the outcome harvesting monitoring and evaluation method. They help to build ownership over the program interventions and allow for joint reflection. So, what does analysis and interpretation look like for different outcomes? For each outcome, analysis and interpretation of individual outcomes are especially useful when a wealth of data is included in the description of the outcome. For all the outcomes of a single change agent, for example, just plan, analysis and interpretation focus on groups of related outcomes of a single change agent or a cohort of agents. In such situations, the following analytical questions can be asked. How do the outcomes add up? Are change processes revealed? For an overarching program or systems change initiative with multiple change agents, for example, plan, together with Save the Children, World Vision, etc. The focus of analysis and interpretation here is on the patterns across outcomes and change agent contributions. Do the outcomes of several change agents combine synergistically to create broader and deeper changes? There are various ways to make a visualization of the outcome descriptions in order to support interpretation of the outcome descriptions. For example, as you see here, the final outcome descriptions can be put in a table. The table includes the program objectives, Objective 1 and 2, and puts the outcome descriptions in columns by years. In the first year of the program, only the first column is filled out, but as the implementation goes on, the columns will be filling up quickly. This second visualization technique shows the outcome descriptions on a timeline. The size and color of the dots show the significance and contribution of the outcome descriptions. The dark blue dots are the milestones. Both the visualizations of the table and the bubble timeline get richer over time and will start to show patterns of change. We will see on which objectives programs progress well and on which less. When interpreting the outcomes, you can reflect on the following questions. What is the sustainability of the changes to institutionalize results? How are the outcomes advancing impact? How is the program or project design advancing what needs to be achieved? Which interventions have been most beneficial? What are essential how-to lessons to adapt or inform scale-up? What are lessons to overcome critical development challenges? Which outcomes reflect setbacks or failures? Why were there setbacks or failures? Ultimately, the reflections on these questions can be used for further planning and learning. Then we have arrived at the fifth and final step of the outcome harvesting process, learning from and making use of the findings. Outcome harvesting can produce very insightful findings that not only enhance our understanding of the program and its complex nature, but they also inform our programs in the future. These findings can inform decision-making and what concrete steps can be taken into the future. The team and all its stakeholders can also have a fruitful discussion together about how to make use of the findings and the next steps. The learning process also takes place during the harvest, not only after. Real-time learning on results helps teams to address various communications needs before, during, and after program implementation. External stakeholders and funders gain a big picture understanding of how inputs are helping to advance a development objective. Results reporting can emphasize lessons learned to inform practitioners working in similar contexts or to guide decisions for replicating or scaling up program activities. We have now gone through all 5 steps of the outcome harvesting process. This slide again shows an overview of the whole process. We start by collecting signs of change throughout the year, after which we review them and start developing outcome descriptions. In order to verify the accuracy and credibility of the final outcomes and findings, we need to work with substantiators to provide feedback on the outcome descriptions, on the program's contribution, and the significance of the outcome. After the substantiation process, we start the analysis and interpretation of the outcomes. We have discussed several questions that you can reflect on in this exercise. The last step of the outcome harvesting is equally as important. We need to actually learn from and make use of our findings. We can emphasize the lessons learned to not only inform our future work, but also that of others. Remember that the outcome harvesting method we discussed in this module is an adapted version, developed for monitoring purposes. You have now reached the end of all 3 videos of the module Introduction to Outcome Harvesting. You can always go back in the videos to listen again to something you still may find unclear. Just like the environments in which outcome harvesting is used, the method can be quite complex. If you have any comments you would like to share or questions about outcome harvesting, do not hesitate to reach out to the Knowledge, Learning, and Innovation team at Plan NL NO.